What if all you thought you understood about Mendeecees Harris was suddenly turned upside down? What if the quiet, the composed guy we'd seen standing with Yandy through years of turbulence was suddenly the focus of a nasty controversy? It's left fans astonished, critics scrambling, and social media in complete pandemonium. Reports are flying, and to be clear, they are unverified. But rumors are becoming stronger that Mendeecees may have finally admitted to what fans have long speculated: a private rendezvous with a lady who's the supposed behind-the-scenes video has generated nothing but friction in his life and marriage, according to Mena, emerged, implying that Mendeecees, calm, like always, gazed right into a camera. No one expected to hear I did sleep with her. But that ain't my kid. Let that sink in. The internet is spiraling. Is this true? Is it taken out of context? Or is this simply another attention-grabbing rumor? Or is there truth hidden deep under the drama? We don't know for sure, but one thing is certain. If these assertions half real, the repercussions might demolish everything Mendeecees and Yandy created. Brace yourselves, because this narrative is just going as the whispers spread like wildfire. The only thing louder than Indy's silence was the echo of those 9 words purportedly recorded on camera. I did sleep with her. But that's not my baby. The phrase was enough to throw the whole love and hip-hop fanbase into a frenzy. Was it a slip-up during an off-camera moment? Part of a private chat that somehow got leaked, or worse? Was it part of a prepared confessions that someone opted not to broadcast? No one knew for sure, but the harm was already done. People who claimed to have seen the video recounted a raw, unedited scene when Mendeecees sat in what appeared like a film trailer. The lighting was dark, his hands were clenched together, his tone was firm, but his eyes revealed a deeper remorse. According to an unidentified crew member, regret, relief might be a combination of all three. The revelation came at the conclusion of after a dramatic off-camera discussion between Yandy and Erica. It was a long day of shooting, brewing for weeks, and everyone could tell that something was going to snap. It all began when Erica arrived on set for a sequence she wasn't supposed to film. Production sources claimed she came early, wanted to meet with producers, and gave them a sealed package with what she said were DNA results. She stated nothing else, simply that the contents of the package will alter everything. Initially, some of the crew assumed it was just another trick, another theatrical tactic to stir up narratives and increase viewing, but suddenly people started whispering, and some claimed to have seen Mendeecees' late-night encounter with Erica off the even outside of typical production hours. By the following morning, the vibe on set had drastically changed. Yandy came for her call time but refused to go into hair and makeup. She waited in her trailer for over 3 hours, phone in hand, scrolling, typing, erasing, then scrolling again. People close to her believe she had already seen the rumors. Several fan sites online have uploaded images of the envelope close-ups of what seemed to be formal DNA paperwork. The names were indistinct, but the meaning was clear. Someone was saying that Mendeecees was the father of a kid who did not exist. Mendeecees kept to himself, not answering calls, and not even Yandy was aware of its existence. Responding to texts, producers were panicking. They needed clarity and control. But most importantly, they wanted to know what was going on behind the scenes before everything spilled out into the public. Thus, they planned a private sit-down with him without cameras or crew. Just a producer, a microphone, and a shut door. That chamber has now become the stuff of folklore. According to someone who claims to have heard the raw audio, Mendeecees was he sat down, took a big breath, and said that he wanted to get something off his chest. He confessed that there was a point months ago when he and Erica crossed a boundary. He didn't go into detail, nor did he make explanations for it. Just acknowledged it occurred, but then he followed it with a remark that would start a firestorm. I did sleep with her, but that ain't my baby. The producer apparently froze since they weren't anticipating a confession. Not one this straight. They questioned if he was sure. Had he seen the data? Had he talked with Erica? Was there any doubt? According to the source, Mendeecees had suspicions from the start. He stated he didn't believe Erica because the timing didn't make sense, since he said he had only been with her once and that it wasn't even planned. He claimed Erica had been spiteful. She was seeking for a chance to harm Yandy, and the so-called DNA findings were simply another part of her twisted the plot. But here's where things become much more. Right after that talk, production locked the camera away. The audio was not intended to exit that room yet. Within 48 hours, bits of the recording started circulating online. Seconds here and there, enough to distinguish the voice, enough to spread. Like wildfire, fans clipped the sound. They added subtitles, and within hours the internet was ablaze. Everyone had an opinion. Some claimed Mendeecees was telling the reality. Some believed he was dodging, attempting to protect himself while putting Erica under the bus. Yandy, for her part, said nothing, but sources said she was unraveling one crew member. Stated she sobbed through an whole wardrobe fitting, refusing to come out of the changing room. Another stated she almost pulled out a shooting, totally claiming she felt deceived, not only by her husband but by the program. The viewers and the storyline being pushed to it wasn't about the rumors for her, it was about trust. If Mendeecees had even been in the same room with Erica without telling her, that was enough to destroy her heart. And Erica was playing it cool. Too cool, she posted. Strange comments on her Instagram storylines, such as "the truth doesn't have to shout," and "sometimes quiet is the biggest shout of all admirers," was divided. Some hailed her bold, while others branded her deceitful. However, no one could deny she was at the heart of the most combustible controversy the business had seen in years. To a boiling point when production decided to start filming as usual, and Yandy was slated to film a scene at dinner event, was an informal group meeting, aimed to bring the cast together after weeks of tumult. But what was planned to a nice reunion swiftly evolved into something far worse. Erica arrived there unannounced. She strolled in wearing a white dress, beautiful makeup, and a face that proclaimed she had nothing to conceal. The room went quiet. Even the camera operators hesitated for a moment before clicking record. Yandy glanced up, her expression inscrutable. According to many accounts, she didn't talk and simply stared. Erica refused to back down and marched right to the table and sat down. Across from her and grinned. The stillness extended for what seemed like hours before Yandy broke it. Her voice was calm but had an edge to it. She asked Erica what she wanted, and Erica supposedly shrugged and stated she simply arrived to eat. But the producers weren't deceived. They knew what she truly wanted. Another scene, another moment, spark, and she received it. A server approached the table to take drink orders. Yandy requested for water. Erica asked for the waiter paused, and Yandy glanced at him, saying, "She doesn't need champagne. She just needs to speak the truth." The room froze, cameras zoomed in, and the background music seemed to vanish. Erica didn't flinch. She took a drink of water and replied, "I already did, and it's not my responsibility if some people can't tolerate it." That was all it took for Yandy to get up. Without shouting or screaming, her chair scraped across the floor, the sound loud and painful. She glanced down at Erica and said, "You could have told me before you told the rest of the world." Erica glanced up, calmly motionless. "I tried," she continued, "but you didn't listen." And that's when the yelling started. The rest of the table pulled away. Security moved forward. Producers whispered urgently into walkies, and the two ladies let go of their own agony, truth, and wounds. Everything came out. Accusations flew, old wounds were reopened. The room was no longer a set, but a battlefield. And no one knew where Mendeecees was, but they all knew he was the reason everything was coming apart throughout the bout. Did not end when the cameras stopped rolling. Even after Yandy was taken away and security stepped in, the air on set was filled with tension. It was the type of quiet that follows something genuine, not contrived. People weren't laughing. One was checking their phones, and even the sound men seemed frightened. Producers begged for an urgent wrap, knowing that nothing further could be recorded that night, so they didn't even bother attempting to lure the actors back. Whatever came was done. Yandy sat in her trailer, wondering what they'd have to face tomorrow. With her face in her hands, her makeup was stained not from the tussle, but from the tears that had been sitting her eyes the entire night. She wasn't just upset with Erica. This wasn't about one disagreement or one meal gone wrong. This was about something shattering that she'd spent years trying to keep together, and defended Mendeecees through the worst. Stood by him when most ladies would have gone away. But this wasn't about forgiveness. It was about shame. Erica, on the other hand, seemed unaffected. Her glam squad had already begun straightening her hair and touching up her lipstick as if nothing had occurred. Her aura wasn't, if anything, she seemed relieved, as if she had said what needed to be said and didn't mind how dirty it made someone. From production, attempted to check in with her and ask if she was well. She glanced at them with a half grin and said, "I told whatever comes with it, I will accept it." Word of the battle spread fast before anybody even arrived home. Fan sites had already released video from the confrontation, some of which were clipped, but you could still hear Yandy's voice cracking, see Erica's serene grin, and most importantly, you people couldn't tell whether Erica was lying to generate a storyline. Yandy held back because she already knew more than she was letting on. Or was this the first time anybody was hearing overnight? The internet erupted with screenshots, audio notes, and fuzzy direct messages. All began cropping up. None of them were verified, but it didn't matter since people were selecting sides, and for every comment supporting Erica, 10 more were wondering why she waited so long. and others argued she should have gone to Yandy personally. Others were persuaded she attempted and was shut down. One remark noted, "She's not trying to harm a family, she's simply done." Allowing him to conceal another, he said nah, she knew precisely what she was doing and did it on tape. But what got folks talking more than anything was the brief video of Mendeecees sitting in AI slept with her. "But that's not my kid." The video didn't last more than 15 seconds, but that was all it took for the comments to go crazy, for people to pause the video to examine his face, seeking for evidence of guilt or denial. The bloggers took it up immediately, plastering on their own headlines and manipulating it any way they could. Producers declined to acknowledge if the tape was genuine, saying I couldn't comment on the material, but the harm had already been done. People believed it, and the internet, when something is decided to be real, it becomes true, even if the facts haven't caught up yet inside production. Lately, Yandy had stopped taking calls and sent a solitary message to her stylist, claiming she wouldn't be shooting for a long, no reason, no schedule. Erica, meanwhile, assured the producer she was ready. For her next scene, she wasn't hiding, not now that everything was out in the open. She declared she wanted to perform a solo interview on camera. No notes, no retakes, just her, a chair, and a spotlight. She turned up in all black. No distractions. The space was set up like a confessional, with dark walls, gentle lighting, and silence. She sat. She took a moment and began talking, not yelling or defending, just talking. She had stated that for months, she attempted to keep things secret, saying she offered Mendeecees a chance to stand up and be honest enough to say anything to him, wife, before it got public. But he didn't. He kept putting it off, insisting he'd handle it, promised he'd repair things. She waited and waited until waiting began to seem like lying. She retrieved a folded paper from her pocket. She did not hold it up to the camera, nor did she flash it about, for she merely held it on her lap and stated, "This is the DNA result he requested." He provided a sample and received the answer. And he looked me in the eye and said he wasn't ready to tell Yandy, so I stopped waiting. Her voice broke just a bit, not enough to weep, but enough to make the room seem heavy. Stated she didn't do this to be messy. She didn't do it for TV. She did it because holding a secret like this, particularly after the interview producers, one involving a kid, began to seem like betrayal not only to Yandy, but also to herself. They were left speechless since there was no script to follow and no predetermined ending. They didn't know whether to broadcast it or bury it, but before they could make a choice, something unexpected occurred. Yandy reappeared and came up early the following day. Morning, no call, no warning. She strolled onto the lot in a sweatshirt and leggings, no cosmetics, no team, and the crew froze. When they saw her, no one knew what to say. She didn't stop to converse, instead going directly to her trailer and closing the door for an hour. Later, she phoned the producer and said, "Set it up. I'll talk, but it's going to be my way." They agreed that her portion was unlike Erica, who was controlled and polished. Yandy was raw. She sat in the same chair, beneath the same lighting, but the vibe was radically different. She peered directly into the lens, eyes sleepy but steadfast. For the first time since the rumors started, she said, "I've given everything to this guy," she continued, "and now I'm sitting here being expected to trust that he's giving me the truth." After concealing something so significant, she wasn't begging for sympathy. She wasn't playing the victim. She was setting it all out, saying she had suspicions about little stuff that never tallied up, occasions that made her question. But she never had evidence, and she never imagined he'd really cross. She took a deep breath and continued, "I don't know if the child is his. I don't know what's real and what's not. A tail being pushed, but what I do know is that I found out with the rest of the world, and this is not how a woman should learn anything." By the conclusion of the interview, Yandy's voice had fallen so low, it was practically a whisper, and she claimed she didn't know what was next. She didn't know whether she could forgive him, or if their marriage would survive. But what she did know was that she wasn't going to remain quiet any longer, not for the cameras or for appearances, not for anybody else's comfort. As her section concluded, there wasn't a dry eye in the control room. Even the editor sat, still confused of what to do next. This wasn't simply drama anymore. It was something deeper, and just as the dust as things began to settle, the crew received a message that Mendeecees wanted to speak on camera alone, and no one was prepared for what he was. When word spread that Mendeecees was finally prepared to speak, there was some hesitation behind the scenes. Producers didn't think he'd show up, and others weren't sure if they should even give him too much space. Too many things had already happened. Too many people had been hurt. But the truth was that they didn't have a choice not to, with the world watching every move as if it were a live courtroom. He arrived just this afternoon. No entourage, no handlers, just him. His walk wasn't as confident as it used to be, was slower, heavier, and he didn't ask for in terms of hair, wardrobe, and lighting. He simply said, "I'll sit, you roll." Stayed quiet as they set up the room. Was dim, same setup as before, but this time the air felt colder and more serious, like even the cameras knew this wasn't about drama anymore. This was something else. He sat down and waited for no cue. The moment the red light turned on, he began, "I know I've said things that don't line up. I know I've been quiet when I should have spoken, and I know people believe that indicates I'm guilty of what they're saying. Maybe I am, maybe not. But not being a man about it, not owning things before they blew out in everyone's face." His eyes looked hollow, not because of makeup or bad lighting, but because of sleepless nights. He didn't look like someone performing. Erica informed me that someone was tired of carrying something too heavy for too long. She was pregnant, and I didn't believe it. Said not because I thought she was lying, but because I didn't want it to be true. That is the difference. Denial isn't constantly about the other person. Occasionally, it's simply about fear. And I was terrified he acknowledged it occurred. The one time I didn't sugarcoat it and didn't refer to it as misunderstanding or a moment of vulnerability. He stated it plainly. And I botched up. I passed a line that I never imagined I would. And when she came to me about the baby, all I could think was, what have I done? Then came the part folks weren't expecting. I asked her for a test that I did not want to take. I could accuse her of anything, but I needed to. I know she consented without debate. Hesitation she gave over the documents in 2 weeks. After reading it, I still couldn't. Believing it, he hesitated long enough, I felt deliberate. So I took another exam quietly without her knowing, simply to be... That's when jaws dropped, no one. I knew there was a second exam. Neither the crew, Erica, Yandy, nor anybody else, and he stated it as if it was merely a footnote, made it much more scary. Came back the same. His voice cracked. Same cleared his throat, glanced right at the camera. I'm stating this to protect anyone. I'm not seeking for Erica or Yandy, smaller now. Like the weight of the truth has diminished. I should have informed Yandy that day. I found out I should have informed her before I even consented to the first test, but I kept wondering, what if it wasn't true? What if I'm wrecking my marriage? Something that is shown to be a falsehood. By the time I received the response, it was too late. I had already lied. And after that, every day I remained silent, simply made I am more of a coward. He glanced down for a long time before speaking again. I noticed I gazed at the child's face, and I saw something, and it was not just me. Mistakes I witnessed, how stillness develops when it departs. I kept telling myself that I was in reality. I was defending my family, just saving myself from losing. He snatched the picture of who I believed I was. Deep breath. I wasn't a guy in that moment, not for a long time. Backstage, the crew was perfectly motionless, even the explosion. The operator dropped his microphone. For a second, it was unusual to see someone in his position. Crack that wide open. This wasn't media, sorry. That wasn't a staged redemption arc, it was just him laid naked. Yet confessions were not over. Yandy, if you're watching this, he murmured, softly, I know. I can't say anything that makes this as alright. Because honestly, I do not want if forgiveness is motivated by sorrow. I want you to know I loved you through everything. Even while I was being dishonest. That may seem weird, but love does not always come clean. Sometimes it comes. He was confused, shattered, and everything was wrong. Hand down his face in Erica. You did not deserve to bear this alone. Put you in the situation I requested you to. Wait, I asked you to keep something. Was never yours to possess. And even if we had a kid together, and I left you out there as if you weren't important, an aristocrat that had been silent for a long time. After he stopped speaking, the cameras continued to roll. Producers did not shout cut, they merely waited. Maybe he had more. He didn't, so he got up and went off. Set, and just like that, the confession ended as news spread. About the second DNA test, social media imploded. Those who had questioned Erica now had to think about everything. Those who protected Mendeecees had to accept the truth that I knew, and kept silent, but it didn't, regardless of how heartfelt his confession was for some. It was too late for others. This was the moment they had been waiting for. However, the one individual who had not spoken since, and the kind of truth that doesn't whisper, it shouts. This was not contrived. It was genuine. Emotional devastation. Genuine individuals attempting to withstand the destruction of one man's silence. Mendeecees eventually said, and Yandy stood there, ground, and Erica provided receipts that changed everything. But here's the point. Is that the whole tale? Whose side are you on? Do you feel Mendeecees came clean out of Yandy's culpability, or the fact that he was captured? Should she go away with her head held high, or should she have battled harder for her family and Erica? Was she courageous or just brutal? We want to know. What you think? Leave your ideas in the comments section. Nothing back if you want more of this. Raw, no-holds-barred drama with secrets crack wide open, and the reality strikes like a smack. Make sure you strike that subscribe button. Turn on your alerts to ensure you never miss the next explosion, because this is not the end. This was just one chapter, and the following I would fire down the whole home. Locked up because the truth is far away. Over music, you feel me? Hey, hey, music, hey, hey, hey. Hello.